Welcome everyone. I didn't want to have to do this video, and neither did Sinead. We don't really have time to just sit down and explain different things with the drama that goes on at Renegade. Renegade has had a lot of drama and a lot of detractors over the years. I guess because it is our audio engineer who quit, Shaun Surplus, and the things he has said since quitting that necessitates us coming out here and explaining what went on with him and why you need to be very discerning when you're looking at all of the content that is coming out from Shaun. Now, we don't have time to do this because, well, we have a family here and the little boy only sleeps for a very short period of time during the day to take a nap, and we don't have time to sit down together and do this kind of thing often. And when we do have a little bit of time, we're working on the network. Shay's working on her documentary or some of the other videos she puts out. Now I'm having to do the audio engineering plus everything else with the websites and being the publisher of Renegade Tribune. This is in addition to all of the other things that we have to do. Cooking, cleaning, working, etc. So this is not something either of us wanted to do. Shaun had already left the broadcast side of things and was simply behind the scenes. He's gone now and things are running just fine. We still have all of our broadcasts going out, so it's not really a big deal at all from a production side of things, but since a lot of people seem to really like Shaun Surplus and take what he has to say to heart, it really means that I guess we have to do this. So here we go. Let's start off with just how Shaun came on the network. I had interviewed him, he had interviewed me, and we were lacking with some hosts. And Shaun put together a decent show. He has some character and can talk on air. He's been doing this for a while. So we brought him on as one of the hosts. He did a good enough job with some of his shows. And at a certain point, he wanted to get away from blog talk radio. And he said that we should put in some automation, you know, the commercial breaks and everything. I didn't necessarily like that, but it is very nice for a host to be able to have a forced break where you don't have to, you know, choose a song or anything like that. The break just comes in and it's like a professional radio station. So I said, sure, let's do it. And he kind of took it from there and did some other things with the automation, made it a pretty good setup. We had some conflicts with Shaun going back months and months. Things went on pretty well for a while, but one thing that really sticks in my mind is when Shaun was just getting really emotional about how I was not spending enough time chatting with him, doing Skype calls or anything like that. Now, in terms of text chat, I spent way more time text chatting with Shaun than probably I have with anyone since I was a high schooler who was trying to flirt with girls at night on AOL Instant Messenger. That's how much I would talk to Shaun in comparison with everybody else.
Even me.
Yeah.
We don't even have much time for ourselves, and you know, when people get really upset that you're not giving them enough time or I'm not, we can only do so much, so.
I have priorities.
Right, and
namely family, Renegade, and all the other kind of activism that we do really do take priority over making Shaun feel like he's, you know, got a virtual friend. So he was really, really upset. He was losing it, and I was kind of shocked because he was acting like a little pussy bitch, as he would always like to say at the beginning of his radio show with the warning there, you know, the disclaimer saying, you know, if you can't handle it, you're a little pussy bitch. Well, he was really getting emotional, and I didn't know how much longer the network would be able to survive with him because of this. Eventually, I kind of just laid it out there. Shaun, you're acting like a little bitch. You're acting like a woman. Maybe it's because you say you drink 12 beers a night, and that really raises your estrogen levels. And that's something people should keep in mind, is that when Shaun's acting very, very emotional, and ironically railing against women or feminists, well, he has very, very high estrogen levels. So maybe that's why I'm not on the same kind of emotional playing field as Shaun here, because I like to have testosterone going through me. Now, I like to have a beer here and there, but I'm not 12 a night. And
I think I'd die. I'd die.
So there's that to consider. He is admittedly an alcoholic. He says he doesn't get drunk, but he's an alcoholic. Drinking 12 beers a night will affect you. I don't care if you're not slurring your words, you're going to be affected. But we kind of got past that, and I didn't change anything. I didn't make any effort to like set up times to talk to Shaun and make him feel better.
You can't. I mean, we just don't have that time. It doesn't exist.
So the next kind of blow up happened right before
Heathen Women's. Well, before, remember how like they were writing articles about women's voting and stuff like that, and he was getting really mad that the Tribune was covering this.
Yeah, there was a writer who was contributing articles for the Tribune, going through and showing how the pre-Christian cultures really did not view women with this patriarchal mindset, and they actually had not equality, but
meritocracy.
No, they had a working good relationship between their men and their women, which was reflected by their gods and goddesses. So she went through, debunked some things, and put together some compelling research, actually well documented. And this really, really upset Shaun. He really wanted me to just kind of give her the boot, and just was not happy that I was allowing this feminist propaganda to be published on the Tribune.
Yeah, he was really, and that's what caused us to do Heathen Women. Because I said, look, I want to discuss these topics because they're really important, but I don't want to make the Tribune look bad because I know these are really sensitive issues. So I figured I'll start my own blog and we'll talk about women's issues, and other things on that blog. Therefore, these ladies have a space to hash it out. You don't have to agree with all the writers on Heathen Women, but that's the place where we can hash it out in the comment section and, bring up different facts. So
and there are a lot of men that go there and comment all the time.
I love having the male commenters, and I post male stuff all the time. So it was just kind of to break away so we're not stepping on people's toes that are really sensitive about those issues.
Plus, I have a posting schedule, and I only fit in certain articles into certain topics, and max out at maybe 7-8 articles a day. And some of these just were videos and short posts that Sinead wanted to put out there, so she started up Heathen Women. And I thought it was a great idea. I've been behind this and other efforts in the past.
We had Aryan Women in the past, and we had our own social network. That was really cool. And we also had men involved. And it was great because we all shared like pregnancy advice and nutrition. And women, I think we need that, like social kind of, we need that. So I didn't see anything feminist about that.
Straight vodka here.
I have 12 beers in my water bottle.
This is 12 shots of vodka right here.
Is it Polish vodka?
It's Polish vodka.
It better be Polish vodka.
I'm gonna be passing out. No, never mind. So, let's get to the next blow up. When Shaun did a show, and you actually liked this show, and I'm gonna be honest with you.
I really liked Shaun. I feel like an idiot now.
Sinead liked Shaun's shows more than I did. I didn't really enjoy listening to them because I wasn't learning anything. I wasn't getting inspired to do anything. He had some good banter here and there, but it was just kind of him getting worked up and yelling. And again, I didn't find it to be all that productive for me, but I knew people out there enjoyed it. For people who are already aware of these issues and were just looking for some kind of entertainment, they like it. It wasn't my cup of tea, but on Renegade, I'm not trying to micromanage and tell people what they should or should not cover, what they should or should not say. And as Shaun had in his disclaimer, if you don't like it, don't write into complaint, just turn it off.
Just don't listen.
But Shaun couldn't really do the same for Sinead. He said he wouldn't listen to a lot of the shows because he was just getting so triggered. But he really felt the need to take her to task.
Put me in check. That's what some of his comments now said, that he was trying to, bring me back from the dark side of feminism, and he was trying to save me and make me into the white Aryan woman that I should be.
Now, let's get to the show that you did and the topic that caused him to kind of flip out. Yeah, in the comment section, where he, throwing around the F word, the feminist word, which to people like Shaun and others in the kind of MGTOW Meninist circles is possibly the worst thing you could be. A lot of them consider that to be far worse than being a Jew. I'm not saying, I'm not saying that Shaun has that priority there, but a lot of them.
It's the new witch.
Well, Daily Stormer, they basically say women are Jews. Like, they have the same kind of mindset, they're the same kind of detriment to us.
And we're not human.
So, the show that Sinead did that really set him off in the comments, which caused this big turmoil, was Sinead. You could tell me it's about how pornography is affecting young teenagers and below.
Well, I just covered girls really because I just was reading an article, and it was girls talking about their experiences with being pressured into simulating these really hardcore porn scenes. And, a lot of them are ending up like hurting their bodies. And I'm just covering from a girl's perspective of how pornography affected them. And I never once laid blame on these boys for being exposed to this filth. I mean, they were poisoned. So that really got him really upset that I didn't cover the boys' side of things. But, it's my show. I read one article. I had a lot of other stuff to get to.
In the past on Renegade, we've covered the destructive effects that pornography has on boys. I can attest to it myself. It will screw up your neural pathways.
Rewires everything.
Really, really badly. It's like the rat in the experiment who just keeps pressing the lever to get more dopamine, and all other things kind of fall by the wayside. This is the primary importance to a person. So pornography is a Jewish weapon against men and women,
and it really screws our relationships up.
You shouldn't have to, when you're covering one aspect of something, give equal opportunity to the other side. That's this kind of artificial manufactured, let's have equal time for this and that.
But the whole thing is we're not equal.
Right.
So what if one deserves more, or not deserves, what if one wants to have more time? Or, it's like we're not equal, so why do we need to have equal time?
And Shaun's argument was that, no, it's actually the little girls who are very, very crude and pressuring the boys into these things. And he said that his son had mentioned, how the little girls are just so sexually aggressive and whatnot in his school. So he's using an anecdote to prove his point. I don't disagree that a lot of young girls probably are very lewd and crude.
Yeah. No, that's definitely happening, but I didn't see it as a refutation to the experiences of the other girls.
And it wasn't an attack on boys or masculinity or anything like that.
No.
And so what happened was soon after the flare-up with the comment section, Shaun decided, I'm done. And he said it had nothing whatsoever to do with Sinead.
Yeah.
Nothing to do. If you think that, you're basically an idiot. He did a whole show just ranting and raving and saying just as much. However, now we can find out that yes, indeed, it did have to do with Sinead, and therefore Shaun was lying. And he also said the reason that he wanted to leave was because he wanted to spend more time with his children, and it was just, doing all this stuff was just so tiring on his soul, and he gets so worked up, I can't handle it anymore. And we find out that is also a lie, because now he's decided to use the old Renegade equipment that donors donated to him to use for Renegade, to purchase the equipment to run the network, and also people have been donating to him for the time he's spent as the audio engineer. And I'm not discounting or discrediting the work he did there. A lot of it is time consuming, and I've learned that definitely the hard way since he's left, and I had to get the network back up and running within a day, which I did do, which also refutes Shaun's claim that he built the network and that we need him and he doesn't need us. I think it really upset him seeing that, no, in fact, we do not need you. I did appreciate having somebody else there to help me with running the network, but I can do it myself. I'm going to have to go my own way here since Shaun went his own way. And he laid a whole lot of blame on Sinead in this last flare-up, and didn't want to even blame me. He wanted to make it look like this is the bad guy. She is the one that's in my head. She's clucking in the background.
I'm really intimidating. I mean, I'm way bigger than you.
Forcing me to do things, and that I really think that he saw you as something of a threat to his relationship with me. Like, he wanted me to be his, like, guy pal.
Buddy,
and you were getting in the way of that. You know, I wasn't there to, like, enjoy his fart humor or his stories or his 50-minute long videos he would send that...
We really tried. We really tried.
I'd skim through them.
Yeah, I was like, I want to invest in these friendships with the host, and so we really tried to watch the videos that he would send and send him a video back, and you know, he divulged really personal things to us, which we, you know, it's nothing that I haven't talked about on air, but he used those things to hurt us on purpose. You know, he said, we'll go through some of the comments and then, you know, we'll be done. But he said that, you know, the reason I'm such a bitch and, you know, so crazy is because I was sent away. I was, you know, institutionalized when, you know, I was 14 years old. I didn't have control of my life. I was shipped away to a, you know, brainwashing center. So I don't necessarily think that's my fault. And I don't think that, you know, he just said that I love nigger music.
That you're essentially a wigress.
That I'm doing this because I want to be famous.
Yeah.
That I'm ruining, like, all of my relationships. My family hates me. Everyone hates me because I want to be famous. Yeah.
He said, I might as well be fucking niggers because that's what Sinead amounts to. So those of you out there who are really sympathizing with Shaun, I've seen you in the comments section, and for some reason you're saying that we haven't handled this like adults when we haven't put out any public statements other than a few lines in chat here or there. And he'll take these lines and make a whole blog post and audio post about it and say the most vile things about us when that's not what we have done at all. I guess we could start off with just one of the most recent ones where he's claiming I've sunk to a new low. He used a picture of a rat to show just what my true nature is. And this was in response to my comments in the chat room were in response to him saying I might as well be fucking niggers because that's what this she-boon over here is. And honestly, he's trying to get under my skin. He did. I wanted to wring his little pencil neck. So I got in the chat and I said just as much. I said I would crush his skull in if he said that to my face, and he knows damn well that I would and could. But I also, he called me a cuck, or insinuated as much. And so what I did in the chat room was I just defined what a cuck is. And it comes from the cuckoo bird who would raise the offspring, the cuckoo would have its own offspring raised by another parent, another different species of bird. So a cuck, in essence, is someone who raises the offspring of another man.
By definition.
So I just put out the definition. I said that's all I'm going to say. I'm not a cuck. I don't raise the offspring of another man. And so Shaun just flips out and, you know, oh, look at what the low he's sunk to. And I never said that Shaun is a cuck, but he went on and did this whole thing about how he's raising the child of another man. His wife left him after their first son, and then she got knocked up by some guy who split, and now Shaun raises the girl as his daughter. I wasn't going to come out with this information at all, but he's the one who did it. I wasn't going to divulge it. I put that comment in the chat because I know he'd be looking out for it, and it was intended simply solely for him. Nobody asked about it. I didn't say anything further about it, but he felt it was necessary to explain, you know, how awful I am for bringing his children into it. I didn't mention his children once. All I did was I said, Shaun's called me a cuck. Here's the definition of a cuck. I'm not one. And then Shaun decided to say, to explain how he is by definition a cuck. Now, I'm not saying what he did in that situation is wrong.
Right. I think I thought that when he told us about that, I thought that was really like a cool thing that he did. But
the child's white. It's not, you know, African or anything. So it's not a cuck in the way that we think about it.
But when you're...
But when I'm being slandered, when Sinead's being, just vilified left and right, and we saying these awful things, am I not allowed to defend myself? Am I not allowed to say, I'm not a cuck. Here's the definition, not me. And
that was it.
Shaun didn't have to come out and say, well, this little bastard, he's calling me he's divulging information about my family, and yes, I am a cuck and I'm proud of it, is essentially what his podcast there amounted to.
Yeah.
Any other comments here you want?
Yeah, I'll just read some of the quotes because, we've been told that we have so much vitriol and we're so mean and we've been so emotional in this situation. I think that we've handled this with a lot of class, personally. We could have gone for the jugular and made those personal attacks and have a pissing match back and forth, but we haven't engaged in that. We might have made a few comments, on Twitter that, okay, now the equipment is not ours anymore. That really sucks. And pointing out some things that aren't adding up. He's contradicting himself in a lot of his statements. So a comment here says, it hasn't been quite that bad for me personally. When I was younger, the white girls stuck with the white girls and the white men with the white men. It's these days where people are cucked out. Also, so many white men these days are so feminized, they end up like Kyle. When they kiss the woman's feet. Go kiss my foot. See, he's totally, he's kissing my feet, he's worshiping me. Let's see. When they kiss the woman's feet, even if what she's doing is wrong, there should be no feet kissing from either side, in my opinion. Well, at least not unless it leads to something privately erotic.
He's always just so lewd and crude. If you listen to his music shows, it's always just very awkwardly sexual.
Yeah.
When he's on with Rose and Shield Maiden.
Well, he actually referred to me as a hot piece of ass in a show, and we didn't even get on him about that. We said, look, whatever, that was really cringy, that was really gross, but let's just let it go. Let's keep everybody happy. When really, we could have said, you're done. You can't say that.
He said a lot of inappropriate things.
He said a lot of inappropriate things, and a lot of his shows were just completely about me. I went back and listened now because I heard some people bringing that up, and I'm thinking, yeah, a lot of them were about me, and they weren't negative at the time, but it was like he was just fixated on wanting to change me so much. So now just looking here, this is he says, what shits me is that Kyle talks about cucks being cucks when he might as well be banging black chicks, because it's no different to his and Sinead's relationship design. Let's take a look at it for a moment. Sinead listens to nigger-type rap music. He considers anything that's not like traditional or like metal or something to be hip-hop. Yeah, so if it's electronic, if it has like
anything
a beat.
With a beat, yeah.
Anything with like a beat.
I'd send him some of Sinead's songs and some of the covers of white artists and everything, and he'd be like, why is she doing this nigger music? And so he was very, very upset about all of that.
Yeah.
And these covers, not the covers, the parodies.
They're parodies.
We're getting out there to
so many people. Now hundreds of thousands because it's been taken down so many times. And the youth were really liking it because I understand that music drives people crazy. I get it. But these people hear these songs all the time. So if we can get, our lyrics in their head, it's just kind of a magic trick. Yeah. It was about propaganda. It wasn't about me wanting to be the next Britney Spears or something. Please, no. So, yes, I listen to nigger type rap music. She loves hip hop as well. I guess I love hip hop. I don't even have time to listen to music. Okay, don't be fooled. Just because she says she loves doing these parodies to mock them out. No, she does it because she loves that music and culture. It has shown itself in the way she talks ghetto New York style. Ghetto New York style. Is that when I pretend to do my black accent? That's just called acting. That's just an impersonation. You do an American accent. I don't know. So yes, the best way to explain me is wigress, and Kyle is my bitch.
You missed a line there. It has shown itself in the music she likes, and the rest of it is just there to hide her wigger values.
Yes, so I have wigger values. I just want to read a few more.
And that's what caused me to go in the chat, and I copied and pasted that. And Shaun obviously cropped out that section, just make it look like I was just going in there to attack him without, being provoked.
Right.
And I'm sure he'll do 3 different blog posts and audios about just this video alone. Takes one like little thing in a chat and just blows it out. Look at the low he has sunk to.
Yeah.
When just go over to TCTA Unleashed, TCTAUnleashed.com, and you'll see the low that he has sunk to. And what's really funny also over on that site is along the right-hand column, he has listed all of the blog posts he had done for Renegade Tribune. They weren't all that good. I had to do some serious editing on them. But because I'm the one who helped him get his site looking good, I guess he doesn't know how to go in and take off the Renegade Tribune feed that's on the right-hand side of his site. So yeah, he's still linking to Renegade Tribune there, which is kind of funny in my opinion.
Yeah, just another comment that kind of ties it all together. He says, I did stick up for Sinead, but not out of white knighting, however, but I thought I could help her get out of the mindset sooner or later. I was wrong. My plan was to help her out where I thought she needed it and gradually bring her across from the dark side. And no, I was never attracted to her in any case. Not even her looks suited my taste. They say that I'm a rich, spoiled child because I don't know. I'm a rich, spoiled child.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's really funny to me is how in a lot of his shows, Shaun would always talk about how, you know, he really wants Sinead to act like a lady, be such a lady. When, come on, if you're expecting these high standards from Sinead to act like a lady, why are you acting like a boy on your show with countless fart jokes and just lewd humor that really shouldn't have a place in our struggle? And I don't like to micromanage, but that always really just it was a sticking point with me. I just didn't like it. It really was off-putting to me. That's not my kind of thing. Sinead swears more than I do.
I know.
But
I'm working on it though.
And so Shaun was always going on and on about how he wants Sinead to act like a lady when he was acting like a boy, using his lewd, crude humor, often toilet humor, which is very, very Jewish. He did shows about how fart jokes aren't Jewish. That no, it's like an Australian thing, and I don't even want to get into that. But the point is, he would swear all of the time on his show. So I guess he thinks that there should be these double standards where Sinead has to act like like an absolute lady when he just goes off on these very disgusting rants sometimes that are profanity laced and just don't have the Aryan ideal represented in them.
Yeah, and I mean, I know people are probably going to say that I do the same exact thing, and yeah, whatever. I mean, you could say that. I'm personally trying to work on not swearing so much and not getting so angry because I know it can be off-putting. I have a really hard time acting like a lady when I'm being attacked from all angles and I'm just trying to help and I'm calling out, a controlled opposition, a very well-funded and thought-out psychological operation that's going on right now with injecting the creeping Sharia and just the all-out hatred of women so we can scapegoat away from the Jew. And that's majorly on my radar right now.
Let's talk about this because a lot of people might not realize what you're reacting to.
Yeah, they
what's
think it's
going on in these Daily Stormer forums and what some of the memes that are being put out there are. Because there are some people that have been saying women shouldn't be allowed to drive, like in Saudi Arabia. Of course, they got to take away the vote because they're not voting for Trump enough, or they didn't vote for the AFD enough.
Right.
So you got to take away certain rights. They need to basically be kept on lockdown and murdered when
honor killings. They want to bring back they want to bring honor killings. That was never a European thing. That's not in our blood. That's Semitic. They want women to have to be accompanied by a man or male family member wherever they go. So, I mean, this is how it already is in some places. And the girls, if they go out without anybody, they're up free game to be raped because they're not following the rules. Next they're going to have us covering more in hijabs. That's already happening in many European countries. This is majorly being pushed, and I'm really scared. Honestly, I'm scared. A lot of young ladies and women are contacting me just freaked out because white guys that they thought were on their side are starting to turn against them and think that No, you're the problem, woman. You're the problem. It's not the Jew. You are a Jew. You're not human. That's what they're saying. We're not human.
Daily Stormer, Andre Anglin, has come out and said that, white man, your enemy is your own women. That's your number one enemy above the Jew. And yeah, oh, he's just joking. Really? Well, then why does he keep repeating it? And why are so many people saying that white women are to blame for the rape refugee crisis, and they actually want it. They're putting out these memes where that's deflecting attention away from the Jews who have opened the borders.
Right.
The Jews who have been behind the radical feminism, which a lot of it is paid demonstrations.
Yeah, and it's disgusting.
And they're behind the Meninism too. They're behind all of these different things, and we're trying to cut through all the BS and get there, while these people are blaming white women for the problems that Jews created. And what's funny is a lot of these people are Christians.
Yeah,
now, what's funny
I'm sorry,
about this
that's just
is,
the truth.
Oh, because they love their patriarchy. Well, where has your patriarchy taken us? Look at the churches now. They're the most cucked institutions you could possibly imagine.
They're feeding them, clothing them, having daycares for them. Housing them. I drive around and I see churches advertising free English lessons, free daycare for your Mexican kids. Free dinner tonight if you're not white.
But these Christian nationalists will say that we're dividing the movement by pointing this out because, oh, we're anti-Christian. We must be these awful Satanists. We're just trying to get you to say, hey, you're blaming white women. That's dividing us right in half, and we need our women. And they're just trying to scare them all off. Honestly, there's an active...
and it's working.
There's an active campaign to chase women around and harass them, and it is working.
So many are just done. They've tried so hard, and they're like, I'm done, I'm getting rid of my Twitter, I'm not even trying anymore, because they're so discouraged, and I totally get that. I've wanted to quit so many times, and he always encourages me to just keep going, because someone needs to speak up for this, and
Sinead's been put out there as this person, the fall guy, the fall gal.
I'm always the one that everyone blames for everything. And like if Hillary wins, it's going to be my fault.
They've used this strategically. Like when John Friend left the network, he was getting subscriptions to his pay site, membership site. So he joined the network and he reached his goal, 100 subscriptions, and got his thousands and thousands of dollars. And then he shut down his site for quite some time.
But he decided to...
And he's back up now, but he wanted to use Sinead as an excuse for why he should leave Renegade once this was all complete. So he had her on his show and wanted to talk about Trump and the NPI and alt-right, and Sinead just called it like she saw it, like she has always done, and been truthful about it. And then after the show, well, John Friend says, I can't be on the network anymore, it's just we're not on the same page with Trump. And so basically it was using Sinead as an easy out to be able to leave the network. And I really think that's what Shaun has done here as well. I'm not making any accusations, but it is kind of suspicious that he really tries to get Sinead going as much as possible so that he can then seem like he's this little victim and he had to quit. And this is right before his vacation, his 3-week-long plus vacation in America.
I can't even imagine taking a vacation for a day.
Where he openly states that he's using $500 of Renegade donors' money for this trip. And he has also admitted that he's using the equipment that was donated for Renegade for this new network that he's going to be setting up, even though he said he was completely done with radio for the time being because he's so burnt out. So we have not lied once. If you want to point it out, if you want to point out where I've lied, go right ahead.
I'm open for feedback.
I've said on previous shows before he left, after he was done with the radio portion, I said I thanked him for the work he's done with audio engineering, and I appreciate it and all that, and I meant it. I mean, looking back now, I've got some different thoughts about who Shaun is and what his intentions were, but I'm not going to discount the work that he did do, especially on the audio engineering side. I said I wasn't a big fan of this show, but other people were. But you really have to take a look at what he's doing, how he is behaving, how he's conducting himself, and what he's saying about us, and start to try to really paint a picture here of what's going on. I'm not the one trying to subvert a movement. I'm not the one trying to derail a radio network. I'm not doing any of these things. I'm not trying to promote hatred of men or women.
I'm not either.
I'm defending men and women. I'm defending our folk.
Yes.
And that includes our women. And our women are very, very important for this. Not just the propaganda, not just for their wombs to reproduce the further generations. We just need a balance of male and female energy. And this whole blame game going back and forth is so destructive. And it set us back quite a ways.
Can I say something about that real quick? Just
Please.
the blame game. The one.
No, you're not allowed to talk.
Sorry, I'm fine.
Get back in the kitchen.
Don't whip me. Okay. So the point that I like to bring up, and it's not to bash males, it's that in the pro-white, you have a large segment of males, a lot of them not white, okay? So you're being subverted. Everybody that uses an anime avatar on Daily Stormer is not white, okay? And then, you know, you have them blaming women for white genocide. So they're actually using our terminology, white genocide, that's what it is. But I don't see any women going and saying, white man, it's your fault that we're in this mess. You know, I see feminists, I see like third wave feminists that are not racially aware, that usually hate their people. I see them blaming white men for everything bad in the world and not naming the Jew. But you have, you know, women like myself or Avalion, you know, we're out there naming the true enemy, and we take a lot of hits for that. And then to be turned around and blamed for genocide at the same time, it's like, what? I'm out here risking my reputation, everything.
And to be so heavily censored, or at least for them to attempt to do so, when you've done so much for the cause already. I've said this before, and I'll stand by this. Sinead has done 10 times more than Shaun will ever do for our cause. With the videos she's put out, with the radio she's put out, with the new documentary she has coming out on South Africa. She has dedicated so much of her time and energy to this and taken so much shit, absolute shit over the years. Way more than myself. I've got pretty thick skin and it comes at me pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But Sinead takes way more, and it really gets to her.
I want to quit.
Especially when it comes from people she thought she knew and trusted and liked. Yeah.
I was like, I haven't even been able to eat. Like, I'm gutted over this. I thought these people were my friends, and I didn't want to like cry. But it's really unfortunate, you know. And I'm not trying to be some martyr here, but I really have so many times just wanted to give up because I just feel like so drained. Like you fight and fight and fight and fight and fight, and there's all these people that just attack you when you're trying to like cut through to name the enemy, you know. And yeah, maybe we could just briefly mention the feminism article, because I think that was supposed to bait me. You know, like Angelo John Gage did a similar tactic when
the vaccines,
and the chemtrails,
and
flat Earth.
Yeah.
So with this one, it was basically saying, you know, he didn't mention my name, but it was pretty obvious he was referring to the show I did. I talked about how, you know, women's lib, or whatever they called it, women's rights, wasn't necessarily completely nefarious. These women just wanted to not be institutionalized at the drop of a hat, because back then, you know, if your wife gave you some problems, she was pissing you off, you throw her in an institution. This was 1850s.
This wasn't made up, and this didn't just happen to women. They did this with any kind of person they deemed undesirable. I came from a psychology background, and they would throw people into the loony bin and make them even far worse. And oftentimes it was because they were victims of pedophilia or something. They didn't want them going to the police or anything, so they just lock them up. Now, imagine that you're in a situation where you can't report abuse that's taking place against you, or else you're going to be thrown away. And, well, Shaun, how about Shaun? Imagine if your father, who you had said had raped your brothers and sisters, if he was able to get away with it. And if your mother had come out and said anything against it, she would have been thrown away. At one point, this could have happened.
Right.
And real quickly, I want to point out just how absurd it is, the mentality of a lot of the men in America, and this goes back quite a ways, where they are more likely to side with black men over white women. Think about the right to vote. The right to vote was given to black men way before white women. Black men probably at that time had less than 20 IQ points than the average white.
The average white woman.
And the average white man and the white woman they have the same IQ on average.
It's just
now
distributed differently.
the distribution is different, meaning there are more men geniuses than women,
yeah.
and also more men dumbasses than women. Women tend to group more towards the middle, whereas the men are more distributed on the bell curve on each end of the spectrum. So this is something that is very real, and it's because of the Christian patriarchy, literally a patriarchy, which is the rule by priests, which has these guys in dresses raping little boys, and this is like trad though. This is trad
life.
Trad cool.
Trad life.
And
raping kids.
And so there were real injustices taking place against women. It wasn't just all hunky-dory. There were injustices taking place against children, against workers, and they all had to fight for their little piece of the world. And it was little small steps, and it's still within the Jew system. But I don't see anybody asking that workers need to give up the rights that were gained for them by those evil leftists,
unions.
In the struggles with the unions and whatnot.
Right.
To be able to get vacation time, and be able to have a weekend, or for children not to be enslaved at a young age.
Now we have a minimum, age where children can begin working, or they have to be a certain age, rather.
So there are legitimate points that can be made about how gender relations work, especially when you're dealing with all of this bullshit that's coming out about how women need to be treated like we're Saudi Arabians.
Yeah, that's the agenda, guys. They want us to actually embrace our own demise, and they want us to think, you know what? Yeah, we should be more like those Islamic countries, and especially the Wahhabi sects that are very, very oppressive towards women. Like Saudi Arabia. I mean, I don't even think they can show their eyes. They just have a freaking bag over them.
Remember Matt Heimbach put out the trad?
Yes.
Trad beam where it had the nun who was all covered up. It had the Muslim who was all covered up, and there was one other, I forget what it was. Maybe was it a Jew who was all covered? Because they had the same thing. Maybe not. I think it was just probably the Christian and the Muslim. And said, we're all trad.
We're all traditional. Like, what?
Respect trad.
What? Traditional is covering me in a trash bag? Like I'm freaking toxic or something? It's just really.
And that's not how the National Socialists dealt with it at all. They were not for pornography, but they allowed for the naked female form to be elevated,
and
along
with
the male one too. It wasn't like it's not the zero-sum game where if one person gets lifted up, the other one has to be taken down. It's let's lift them both up together, and that's what I think a lot of people don't get. They're thinking that if women are allowed to do this, then men won't be able to do that, and it's just working within this Jew system of non-cooperative game theory.
Yes, that's it. And so that was the only point that I was trying to make, is that, a lot of these women who, are saying, why are you speaking negatively about women's rights? Look, we have this right and that right. I was trying to say that they do have a point. Just as the unions, what they did, it wasn't all bad. Now, a lot of these things were subverted by Jews, and look where we are now. You have your crazy communists in the unions, and you have your crazy Jews, with period blood and all that gross stuff. So, it's not good. It's like everything. They take it over. They subvert it. They might have been subverting it from the beginning. They could have said, hey, ladies, you're so oppressed, right? And which, things sucked for everybody. So they said, yeah, I want to get on board with that. So that's only the point that I was trying to make. And that really set him off to the point where he said, this is an invasion. Feminism is invading the alternative talk network, and
he claimed it wasn't about the show you had just done, even though it was completely about what you had just done. I heard
an American lass say ... I'm like,
and he tried to refute her points by bringing up a few other anecdotes.
There's all anecdotes.
And from a time period where women had gained a lot more rights than
after
they had.
The women's rights thing.
Exactly. And so
they were able to do it.
And he used his nan and his pa, he said, well, my nan and my pa, they told me about this and that, and they had a great relationship. And then he brought up this Ludacris line. I'm talking about the rapper Ludacris. He likes to say that Sinead is going to hang out with Jay-Z and everything. But he says, women were a lady in the street, but an absolute slut.
All caps.
Slut in the bedroom with her husband, blah, blah, blah. And a man was an absolute stud.
Ew.
Does he not know what the definition of slut is?
Someone that has sex with a lot of people. Probably has a bunch of diseases.
Multiple partners, or is just like a really trashy woman.
Yeah, like unclean.
Yeah. So even Ludacris was less lewd than Shaun Surplus when he was trying to talk about, how women needs to be sluts in the bedroom. It was
gross.
It was a retarded post, and I told him that because
he sent it to us.
He sent it to me that morning. I wake up, and
Really?
It's got that link there, and so he's obviously trying to provoke me or Sinead.
Yeah.
And then after I told him. Basically, and Sinead would like to discuss this with you, debate it with you, and I forget the whole exchange, but...
Then I just decided, like, well, you know what, let's just not even do it.
He ended up saying I was, I had no testicular fortitude.
Yeah.
And so this got me just to call him on the phone, on the Skype, and...
We just wake up, we got this guy throwing insults at us, and we're like, what the hell's going on? Jesus, like...
And so, we're just going back and forth. And the reason that he said I had no testicular fortitude came out was because I didn't stand up to Sinead, say, stop it, you will not get in the way of me and Shaun Surplus having a great time, because he's doing this whole U.S. vacation, and he really wanted to come down here and stay here for like 5 days or something.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that.
And I didn't want fart humor, fart jokes.
We don't even have time.
We don't have space.
We have no time.
And he essentially really invited himself to our place.
We're like, okay, we're not gonna be able to spend a lot of time with you.
After that first flare up with Sinead, while Shaun was still on the network, he said something about he didn't want Sinead to even converse with him ever again.
Well, yeah, right before that, I had said I'm really hurt by you calling, the heathen women's site feminist and saying that it's so bad, and I'm just like, I don't get that. Why is it so bad? And I said, I don't understand why you're hurt. I was just telling it like it is or whatever. So I said, look, I don't want to fight with you, man. And if you come to my house and you think I'm this feminist bitch, like I'm not. We're gonna end up fighting. And I don't even want you in my house if you're calling me this stuff. Like I'm some kind of witch that needs to be burnt at the stake. So I said, no hard feelings, man. It's a long trip down here anyways. This country is huge. It's not like you can hop on a bus.
So you could cook and clean for Shaun Surplus and have him think you're a feminist.
Have him fart on me and... it's just like, and we all moved on. He said he wanted to cut off communication with me entirely. I respected that. I said, okay, that's fine. I didn't bring it up. It was all behind the scenes.
Sinead would send her podcast through me to Shaun. It was an annoyance, an absolute annoyance.
But I respected his wishes to cut off all communication with me, and I did not make it an issue. I just kept on trucking, and so this is, he thought that it was me basically telling Kyle, he can't come to our house, I don't want him here. And Kyle's like,
I didn't want him there anyway.
I didn't want him here either.
Especially given what he had said on some of his shows about how, Sinead's husband better watch out because when he leaves, I'm going to be proposing to her, getting down on one knee.
To my voice.
Trying to marry her voice and all this weird stuff. And
called me a hot piece of ass. We already mentioned that.
Yeah, so there's been a whole history of Shaun saying really inappropriate things about Sinead. But at least he did admit back when he was on the air that I could tear him apart.
Yeah, we have that.
And I could. And I would.
And he knows it. I don't want that to happen. I just want this to stop. I want him to stop. I mean, he's probably not going to. I just would really like this to end because, we don't have time for this. I almost think that this was done for the purpose of taking up our time for stopping the momentum that we had going and to throw a wrench in it all. I don't know what to think anymore. You think you have friends, they turn on you, they end up being feds. It's like, we've had this happen so many times that we don't even know what to think anymore.
Well, it's really unfortunate because I was starting to make some YouTube videos again, just small little ones here and there.
Really good.
Just because I would find, half hour and an hour, and now I just don't have that anymore. I don't have enough time to write my own articles anymore because I'm publishing and editing on the Tribune, and I'm doing all of the work with Renegade Broadcasting, so I'm really strapped for time. We're pretty much running out of it here.
It's been stressful. It's been a lot of added stress to our lives, and our lives are not stress-free to begin with, so it's been stressful, but, you know, we're going to be stronger for it. Every time they try to cut Renegade down, we come back stronger. So
I do want to mention that we have a lot of great supporters. Some people are confused out there and they think we haven't handled it right, but a lot of people have come to me and said that, you know, they're actually glad that Shaun and his brand of humor and activism, I guess, are gone. And they've been very supportive to help us, you know, get
everything back up
and running. And you know, I really do appreciate that. You really do realize who your friends are, who your supporters are when something like this happens. And it's really it's unfortunate a lot of people can't see through what he's been putting out. And part of that is that we really haven't been able to put out our side at all. Hopefully this lays some things to rest. Yeah. I don't think any of this has been a real personal attack on Shaun, even though he's personally attacked us both. We're just laying out there some of the facts, some opinions, and hopefully this will serve as just a reference point. People can look at to just not even selling the
clearing the air.
Yeah, there you go, clearing the air. Because
there's so much misconception. Oh, Kyle said this about his daughter, and then, Sinead was the one that got him mad, and blah, blah, blah. It's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Too much. Just want to set it straight. Set the record straight.
And I'll say this one more time. Sinead has done far more for us than Shaun ever could think of doing. And whatever he is planning for the new network, go for it. At least that old Renegade studio machine will get to some use, and the other equipment he's bought. And hey, Shaun, have fun with the donors' money on your trip through America. You're such an honorable, ideal man. What a man. What a strong man who can't seem to get over what Sinead has to say.
Yeah, that's
Sarcasm
it.
Off.
Sarcasm off. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and thanks for all of your support. We love you guys.
Is Shaun leaving because of Sinead? Let me make this the first issue. No. Shaun is not leaving because of Sinead. The timing wasn't great on me leaving, of course, because Sinead and I had a little boo-boo. All right? I had a bitch about heathenwomen.com. She set me straight. I also had a bit of a bitch of something she had to say on a show. She had her say on it. Not to say that we necessarily came to agreement on that issue. However, I still love her just as much as I always have. Okay? No, I didn't leave because of Sinead. So stop sending me fucking emails saying, come on, Shaun. Come now. You can tell the truth. You know, it's just you and me now, Shaun. Tell the truth. You left because of Sinead. I expect backlash from Sinead. As far as I'm concerned, she's a mean-spirited piece of work, that one. Albeit that Kyle might think otherwise because he's got the man of the house in the background there telling him what to do. Another question that's getting around is, what happened? Did you just leave because Sinead didn't like what you said? No, it doesn't just come down to that. There's a hell of a lot more politics to this than meets the eye. The argument was not just about her show or the article I wrote. It goes back quite a ways with certain things, and certain things were building, I think, on both behalves, on my behalf and Sinead's. I mean, she had quite a few things to say about, she really believes that I've been on her from the get-go, but if anybody can take a look back at the archives, whilst I have taken a few things of what she said and took them to task, there hasn't been a hell of a lot. I agree mostly on what Sinead has to say. But as somebody just recently wrote to me, I believe she's a first-wave feminist. I don't think she's necessarily a modern-day feminist, but I do think she's a first-wave feminist when the first feminists came to being. Of that, I have no doubt. And truthfully, I mean, until she divorces that shit, she'll never get anywhere as a so-called anti-feminist, because she is one. All right? That's plain and simply a fact. It's easier for them to take the side of Renegade, because if they take my side, they've got to put up with the flack that's going to come from Sinead. That's the thing. People have always needed me. I haven't needed them because I'm an independent thinker. Of course, Sinead and Kyle, they weren't too pleased. I may not seriously be married to Sinead. I'm going to marry her voice. So her husband now has something to be jealous of. He's got some competition going on now because I'm going to marry his wife's voice. There's no doubt about it. Another thing for a husband to be jealous of is that she's sung me to sleep. Oh, it's choking me up. I'm telling you. She sung me to sleep on more than one occasion now. Kyle's the big dog. You're the weasel coyote. Are you getting a picture now? He would snap you in two. Hell, I'm a good fighter. And he would snap me in two.